So they take the horse.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. We're going to get rolling. I expect there's probably going to be a few more people slipping in here, but we're going to get started. So let's begin with prayer. Lord, I thank you for this night and this opportunity we can gather together. And dear God, I pray that you would just continue to stir our hearts to bless and minister to the precious lives that you put in our care through the children's ministries of this church. Pray your hand be with us tonight, you be glorify our conversation, and just continue to lead us and guide us in your name. Amen. Okay, there's a whole bunch of stuff I wanted to cover tonight. We're going to do the best we can to cover it as rapidly and efficiently as possible. The first thing I wanted to cover was one of the issues that's been brought up to me repeatedly in multiple settings is dealing with classroom discipline and having some kids that are out of control, that are kind of monopolizing the class, making it difficult to teach, even to the point where some teachers have been frustrated with the teaching experience because they feel like they're spending their whole time dealing with kids who aren't listening, aren't paying attention, and that's not why we're here. We're here to be discipling kids toward Christ. We're here to be teaching them the Word. We're here to be loving them, and that can be very difficult when one or two children, maybe 3 or 4 children, are out of control and distracting everybody and keeping what you've been preparing and praying about from happening. So I want to talk about a tool that we can use consistently. My goal is for it to be consistently used across all of our children's ministries so that regardless of which children's ministry program or whatever kids are in, they're going to know what the expectations are. Why is it important? The consistency piece is a huge piece. If we're all doing the same thing, it's going to work. If we're not all doing the same thing, the kids won't know what the expectations are when they come from one class to another. I believe that structure and control is very possible with all kids, and we just need to use good tools and need to use them consistently. That's going to be the biggest challenge for us as teachers and helpers, to use this stuff consistently. One of the things we need to look at is thinking about and remembering that kids are why we do this. Sometimes they can be frustrating, sometimes they can get on our nerves, sometimes they can drive us crazy, and that's not even talking about other people's kids yet. But kids are why we do this. In one of my favorite verses for church ministry is Proverbs 14:4. It says, "Where there are no oxen, the stable is clean." So whenever somebody starts getting the idea that, hey, this is frustrating, I got to clean up, people are making a mess, they're ruining the carpet, they're ruining the floors, whatever else, we're about people. We're about ministering to people. And where there's people, there's going to be problems and there's going to be messes. And that's just part of it. Now, we don't want to just let people, it doesn't have to be totally out of control, but with people, there's going to be stuff we're going to have to deal with. It's just part of it. The only way to have a church that's problem-free is to have a church that doesn't have people. And that's not what we want. Remember also that those who are acting out for a reason. There's something going on in their lives, in their minds, in their hearts that is driving them, forcing them, causing them to act out. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean that you just respond with abundant pity and mercy because, oh, this kid's acting like this, their life is out of control, so we need to let them act like this. No, they need attention, they need structure, they need to know that they're cared about, they need to know that they're important, and letting them push things to the place where they're getting their attention is when they're getting in trouble, is not helping them to get what they need. There are more positive ways to do that. So when you're in that moment and you're dealing with that child and it's frustrating, remember, okay, there's a reason they're acting like this. Okay? What do they need? How can I give that to them? How can we provide that and meet this need in a better way, or teach them to get that need met in a better way? So I want to tell you about our little traffic light up here. There is a system that I'd like for us to start using called red light, green light, 1, 2, 3. And like I said before, I'd like this to be able to be used through all the various ministries. And I don't have all the people from all the ministries here. So we're going to have to try to help teach each other and try to apply this as quickly as possible. Okay? So let me see here. I need, Eric, could you help pass these out? If you are responsible for a ministry, such as Matt and Rebecca with Impact and Rangers, you guys take some extra copies of this to try to give your teachers as soon as possible so that they know how to do it. Same with anybody else who's helping with anything else. I think you guys are the only team leaders we've got here at this point. Okay, top paragraph, red light, green light, 1, 2, 3. As disciple makers of children at Church of the Rock, we are very aware of the small amount of time we have to minister to our children. We have large groups of children, a wide range of ages, and a rotating schedule of volunteers. Therefore, having a consistent, clear system for classroom management is very important. The way it works. I have a volunteer who'd like to read number 1 for me, nice and loud.
A large poster of a traffic light will remain on the wall from week to week.
Ta-da! Number 2, who'd like to read that?
Each child will have a clothespin with their name on it. When the children enter the room, they will find their clothespin in the basket and attach it to the bottom of the traffic light. This will also help with attendance taking.
Okay, I have also picked up some little buckets. So each ministry, each classroom, whatever, can have a little bucket with their kids' names in it. And we can train the kids when they come into the room, they pick out their clip and they bring it over and attach it to the bottom. That's kind of the neutral spot. At the end of the class, you grab all the clips off of there, wherever they are, and you put them back in the bucket. The buckets can be labeled for that particular class. They can even stay in the room you're in. Does that make sense? Okay. Number 3.
The goal is for all clothespins to stay on the bottom of the poster off the traffic light.
Very good.
That's where mine's going to be.
Good, Steve. I'm glad to hear that. That's a good goal for you to set today.
Maybe you should be sitting in the front of the room. You know, not the other room.
Number 4.
In the event that a child does not heed the teacher's instructions, be it no running, he or she continues to run, no talking, he or she continues to talk, etc., the teacher will calmly ask the child to move their clothespin to green.
Okay? So, in a case like that, if Steve wants to be blurting out in class and I want the kids to raise their hands, he blurts out, I say, Steve, I need you to raise your hand. Okay? Well, what if he doesn't raise his hand? Then I don't remind him again. I say, Steve, come move your clip.
Can you demonstrate moving the clip where it's going to go? Okay, this side.
Yep, okay. Just the side of green, either side.
Are you
But
going
it's not actually going to fit on the green.
Are you going to move it or am I?
We want to try to get the children to move it. There might be some cases, age, maybe they're having a really difficult time, whatever. They might say, oh, I'm not moving my clip. Well, then you might have to move it for them. Because you're not going to make a big production out of this. It's just going to be, I need you to move your clip. Okay? Which, particularly on the start, but pretty much all the time, you're just going to have to start the beginning of class explaining what red light, green light is, how it works. Okay? The trick is going to be very, very consistent. Don't give more than a warning before you ask the kid to move their clip. Okay? If you're saying, oh, okay, I asked you to please stop, stop blurting out, please stop blurting out. Okay, I've asked you not to, okay, if you don't stop blurting out, you're going to have to move your clip. You've missed the entire point. Okay, number 5.
As the class progresses, if the child's behavior in response to the teacher's request continues to be negative, the teacher will point to the traffic light and he or she will have to move their pin to yellow.
Okay, so now you need to move your clothespin to yellow. Number 6.
In the rare event that a child's behavior does not improve and they reach red, the teacher will calmly tell the child, I know you can do better next week, but for today, your mom, dad, or guardian will have to come down and get you.
Okay? So, that clip goes to red. That means when it goes to red, there's no more warnings. They're leaving the room. Okay? It's gonna happen a few times anyway, just on a regular basis, but in the front end, it's going to happen a few times for parents and kids to get used to it. Okay? And number 7, who can read that for me?
The parent will then be notified, be paged, and will take their child back to the worship center. When the parents come and get their child, they should be told, little Diego has been having a difficult time today. They were described the disruptive behavior and did not stop when I asked him 3 times. I need you to keep him with you for the rest of the service. I am sure he will be ready to participate in class respectively next week. We look forward to having him back in class then.
Okay? It's very important that you're positive about this, but that, you know, this is what's got to happen. This is just for this week. You don't have a bad kid. You know, I'm not mad at your kid. Your kid has not ruined everything for everybody else. It's just they're doing this behavior, and we need them to sit out today. Okay? Glad to have them back next week. So every week, every child gets a clean slate. And the children, some children who may get in trouble a lot in school are going to need that reinforced repeatedly. That you love them, you accept them, today's a clean slate. Okay? Now on the back of this is just a little description here. This method of classroom control works well for several reasons. It accommodates different learning styles. Those who are auditory, you're speaking to them. Those who are visual, there's some very clear visual examples right there. It allows the teacher to maintain control of the classroom and hopefully themselves. Okay? As the children see the teacher implementing the steps, they learn boundaries and know that their choices have consequences. Once again, that consistency from week to week, class to class, teacher to teacher is going to be real important for the kids to understand the consequences and how the process works. Children will know what to expect each week, even as the teacher changes, because the rules in the classroom and consequences for inappropriate behavior will be consistent from week to week. And I know in some of the classes, the behavior does shift quite a bit from week to week, depending on who the teacher is, because the teacher has different ways of responding or reacting to the kids. Some kids know they can get away with certain things with one teacher, they can't with another. This is going to kind of even the playing field. One of the other things I'm going to probably have to do in the not too distant future is to kind of revisit our classroom rules. I know we've got this 5 thing. For the life of me, I can't remember all 5. I think we need to get it down to 3.
Was that the thing for the preschool?
Yeah, I've seen that, but it's just if anybody here made it, please, I'm not trying to offend you. It's just it's too much for me to remember. Okay, so I want to get it really simplified. So we want to get it simplified so that it covers bases. Okay, so I haven't done that yet. We'll be working on that. A firm, loving environment is established where children can learn and grow in their walk with the Lord. So as the environment is calm, it's a good learning environment, all the kids are going to learn better. Positive reinforcement is given as a teacher promises to pray for the dismissed child, encourages him or her that they can do better next week, start with a clean slate. Last but not least, teacher burnout is avoided as support is received from parents and guardians in the children's lives. And we hope this information brings clarity and not confusion. Oh, see, Pastor Gus. The other thing that I took off of this for now because I didn't think we were is that part of this original plan included if the kids made it through the whole way through class without having to move their clip, then they would get a sticker to put on their name chart. And then after 5 times getting their stickers on, then they would get to pick from the prize bucket. Okay? So we can talk about that and we can implement that if we want to do that in the future. I was not able to generate name charts and stickers and all of that for tonight, so I just took it out. Okay, but that might be a good idea. We are dealing with a few more kids than this setting that I had used this in before.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Preschoolers forget so quickly.
Mhm.
Like if you give them a warning at the beginning of class and then they're fine for like 15 minutes and they and do you just automatically go to green with a preschooler, or do you?
Well, they still have 2 more chances.
Right, I know, I'm just,
I would say probably, unless there's if you've got a child that's got like a real, you know they've got a real attention issue, and it's going to be very difficult for them to make it 45 minutes. If they're good for 15 minutes, you know, and they're up on yellow, I don't have a problem with saying, you know, hey, Diego, you've been really good for the past 10 minutes. Why don't you go move your clip back down to green for me? Okay? That's not a part of the plan here, but I would say that's okay in some special circumstances.
yeah, I'm just thinking like, because preschoolers might, you know, forget, but, you know, going to green and then to yellow before they're out will help them remember too.
Yeah, yeah. My concern in that setting is we've got a couple of individuals in that class that never listen to the teacher at all.
Well, that's kind of, yeah.
You know, they're climbing under the table, you know, if it's not one, it's the other, and we're going to have to rein that in.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
yeah.
it's just, it's not appropriate, and it's not helping prepare them for school or whatever is going to be, you know, just, it's not good.
And on the other hand, if kid gets really mouthy and swears at you or something like that, can you just put them straight to red?
Yes, you sure can.
Or hit someone else. There's circumstances.
Yeah, or if it's a dangerous thing, they just need to be pulled out.
Really?
You know, if they hit another child, throw a chair, throw something that's hard, wooden, I'm sorry, you're done today.
You got 2 more chances to hit the kid in the corner.
Steve?
Are you gonna give the parents a copy of this?
Yes.
Good. Oh, yeah.
Yep.